Warm welcome. This is going to be a quick one, but today I want to talk about why your swimmer loses on every single turn and why the problem is not what you think it is. Okay, I think it's going to be quite interesting for you because here's the thing. Why are they losing on every turn? It is, and I'll prove it to you, okay, so that beyond a shadow of a doubt, hopefully you will believe. I don't want to be right. I just want you to see what is actually going on because that will put you in the best position to kind of help your kid moving forward, right? And I'll prove to you that it is a mental thing and it is only a mental thing. No matter what they say, that my legs are tired, like my lungs are about to bust, I'm not saying they're wrong, but the issue is still a mental issue, and I'll prove it to you. And I'll share with you why it's a really challenging one. But it's solvable. We do it every day, every week. I wanted to say something else. I slipped my mind. It'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back. All right. So with the turns, look, we just know with 100% certainty that fast turns and good underwater fly kicks, okay, is a crucial, very important part of modern swimming. Michael Phelps was the guy who kind of made it famous, but it's been around for longer than that. But he was that, he would do it in every race. And people would just see, because he would literally win meters after every underwater against really good competition. People are okay, we need to start working on the underwaters. And now you see it. Now it's short course season over here in Europe and in America and stuff. And so you just see the times that the people swim basically out of training. Yeah, it's October and there's world records that are being broken. And not just broken, they're freaking crushed. Right, so you got all these people that do world records pretty much out of training. It's not even end of season. And how do they do it? It's underwaters, and in long course it's the same thing. It's not as important, you could argue, but it still wins or loses races. But definitely in short course, 100%. We just know fast underwaters is part of modern swimming. Yet, a lot of the clubs are really lagging behind. And I will say that is very true for Europe, Middle East, South Africa. What I'm seeing, America does a really good job because they have the yard system, which is 22 point something meters. So for them, turns are even more important. And I think you can see it in those big events. People who are training in college in one of the really good schools over there, they tend to have better turns and underwaters and starts and all that stuff, right? They're just okay. But so we know it is part of modern swimming and it's hugely important. And there was just a 100 freestyle in one of the World Cups, I think it was in Toronto, and it was Josh Liendo who you could clearly see, he was at 145.4, if I'm not mistaken. You could clearly see his swimming wasn't the fastest. There were other guys that were swimming faster than him, but then there's the first turn. And he does the underwaters and he comes out half a meter in front of everybody. And then he loses it, right? And then there's a second turn and then he comes out half a meter ahead of everybody. And then there's the third turn and then he brings it home and he wins it. So it's even in the freestyle. So definitely in fly, definitely in backstroke, but even in the freestyle, the fifth stroke is what we call it at Swimpros, which is the underwater fly kicks, is the fastest stroke of all. Okay? And it is, and for IM as well, it is a must-have if you want to be successful in modern swimming. And so here's why this is a mental thing and not a physical thing. What they'll say, what the kids and the swimmers will say is ooh, I can't hold my breath. My lungs are too small. It hurts. My legs are tired. I need to come up for air and all that. And yes, that is true. But the underlying issue to fix that is actually a mental issue. Because when, it's that discussion, which was first, the chicken or the egg? And that is a very philosophical question because I guess you could argue for that forever. But when it comes to underwater fly kicks and having rock solid, even world-class turns, it is not a question which one was first. Was it I put my mind into getting good at turns and underwaters and then I got good at turns and underwaters? Or is it, hey, I got good at turns and underwaters and that's why I have a great mindset, so to say, right? It just doesn't make any sense. It would be like if I said, okay, I first need to get good at like with my lungs and my legs and I need to be faster at underwaters and then I'll do more of them. That would be like me saying, I'll go to the hospital once I'm healthy, or I'll eat healthy food once I'm feeling healthier. You know, it does make no, or I'll start saving money once I'm rich. It makes no sense. You get rich by like saving money, or like spending less than you make, right? It's just, you get healthy by eating healthy food and working out. It's not like I get healthy and then I start working out. It makes absolutely no sense. And when I say it like that, I'm sure like you agree with me, but that's exactly what we're doing. And that's exactly what the swimmers are thinking in their head. It's like, oh, I just need a few more years. I got to grow a little bit. I got to, just do like other things and it will come. But it doesn't. I promise you it will not come. And when you look at the people who are really good at underwaters, they talk about how they're training. And how are they so good? How do they get it done in competition when they're doing a 200 fly, 200 back, 200 free and all that? Is because they do it in training. Okay? And so then all they have to do is do the same thing that they do in training, have to execute that in competition. And if they have trained that for long enough, there is no reason whatsoever why they shouldn't be able to do it in a competition. Okay? And so that's why I'm saying the challenge is a mental one, because the first step that your swimmer needs to make in their head is to make a commitment that I'm going to make my turns and my underwaters and my start one of my secret weapons, if not the secret weapon. That is the first step. It's a commitment, right? That is the absolute first step. And they have to see why that will be so useful for them. And they watch, like we speak to swimmers every day and parents, and we know the ones we're working with, right? I'm sure not everybody, but the ones we're working with, they're very ambitious, they're very passionate about swimming, and so they're very curious. So they watch, they're on their phones a lot more than we want them to, but hey, it's 2025, I guess. And so they're like scrolling through like the videos, and they know the importance of having fast underwater fly kicks. But they don't know how to develop it because they think, oh, they're lacking lung capacity. Their legs are just like not, strong enough. Maybe they're not flexible enough. They lack mobility. They have like all these external like excuses why they're not doing them in training consistently. Okay, and so that's why it is a mental challenge to help them to commit to that, and then it continues to be mental until they start doing the thing that they want to do in the race every single day in practice, right? Even when it gets hard, not just for the warm-up to stay under and do like 3, 4, 5, or 6 fly kicks, but like when it gets hard to not give up and follow through. That is why it is mental, and that is why what we do at Swimpros, I believe, is the biggest value of all, because you can have the best technique coaches, you can have the best swim equipment. If the guys and the girls don't do and don't commit to the underwaters, it's not going to work out. And then they just go to competition and be like, oh yeah, I couldn't hold my underwaters, and after like the third turn I was so tired, had so much lactic acid. It's all excuses, right? And so we got to like toughen up a little bit. And then the thing is, once they commit to doing it in training, I'll show you that in a second, right? I got my whiteboard ready. It's actually going to suck for a while. And that is where like the mental challenge gets even bigger, because it sucks more if you start doing the underwaters most of the time. It's not guaranteed. Sometimes it's like a quick win and it's like off they go. But oftentimes it actually starts to suck more, and training gets harder and more difficult. And so it becomes even more challenging. It's just until they come out on the other side of the tunnel where they're actually going to be faster and have more energy, right? That's the tunnel that they have to get through, and that is a mental thing. And once they put their mind to it, their technique, their body will follow. What that means is that once they start doing the underwaters, their lungs will start to expand. once they start doing underwaters and they do a lot more fly kicks, right, that those legs and the core and the shoulders, everything will start to adapt to that. Okay? And then so the body follows the mind. It's not the other way around. It's you put the mind into it and you start working and the body will start to, it's like if you go to the gym, right? You decide, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go and work hard. You go to the gym and then after a day, you're sore. It sucks, right? Sometimes if I don't squat for like, hasn't happened in a while, but let's say like I don't squat for a month and then I start squatting, I like for 3, sometimes 4 days, I can't sit down on the toilet without like holding on to the thing, you know? So actually it sucks at first, but then the body will start to adapt and be like, okay, he's doing all these squats and stuff. So let me kind of like build some muscle, right? And for the swimming and underwater, it's the exact same thing, but it starts with the mind, right? So I hope that makes sense. No, well, I got to speed this up a little bit. I got an appointment in 6 minutes. So let me like show you what we take our swimmers through so they like understand, and then you understand why it's such a mental challenge to actually follow through on the underwaters. Because it's like easy to say, oh yeah, you know, from now on I'm just gonna commit to doing 5 fly kicks off every wall, right? It's easy when we're sitting here, but then we're in the battle of things and things are actually like hard. You know, people like the swimmers like back away, most of them, and so I'll explain to you why and also what we can do about that. So check this out. If we have it here, right? This is performance. So I just put a P, or we'll put this, performance. And then down here, this is time. Now, this time scale it's like a couple of weeks, a couple of months at most. So it really depends on where the person is, but like think weeks or months. Okay, not years, but also not days. It's weeks or months. Like months is probably like 1, 2, 3, yeah, like three months or so, month-ish. So if David, okay, I'm just going to put David. If this is my level of performance that I have right now, this is the now, okay? For this to make sense, what I need to agree on is that if I improve my underwaters and my turns and my starts, eventually I will be a lot faster than what I am now. Okay, so if the person doesn't agree, if a person just goes, or maybe they're like open water swimmer, right, and they exclusively do 10K in the water, then that wouldn't make so much sense. Okay, but if you're a pool swimmer and you swim fly, back, free, or IM, then this should make total sense. But you kind of like the swimmer has to agree on that, otherwise there's like it won't make sense. So we do say, if I had better and faster underwaters and I could do them consistently in a race, I would be faster. Okay? So what that means is in a couple of months, my performance, right, will actually be here. So David, 3 months. My performance will be up there. And so here's where the trouble is. And if I just continue like swimming, right, I'm here and then I just keep doing the same thing and I don't make a commitment to get better at turns and underwaters, what's going to happen is, you know, I just keep doing the same thing. I'll probably like come here. David, 3 months, okay? So this would be David 1, and then the other one on top would be David version 2, right? And so, look, check this out. We're here, and this is what it, you know, the progression, right? We just keep doing the same thing that we have been doing. We don't make a mental shift. We don't make a commitment to like change. Then we will get better, and that will be the line. When we commit, in the moment when we commit to making underwaters and fly kicks our secret weapon, what is going to happen is, like, think about this. When you are used to doing no fly kicks, or you do 1 or 2, or sporadically you do like 6 and then you do 1, 2, you just like all over the place. And then you say, okay, every time we do something that is at race pace, or it is at 80%, or all the time, it doesn't matter, but you make a commitment and then you start doing more underwater fly kicks. again, for the same reason why the kids are not doing it in training is because it gets really hard and it gets really challenging. And so then they're like racing some other teammates in the club, right? And then you do like these aerobic sets, let's say, and then you decide to take 4 fly kicks off every wall and everybody else isn't doing that. You're the only one. And then in the beginning, it may go really well because you still have air, but then after 200, 300, 400, you're like out of air. And then you stay under, but then you come up and you struggle, right? And you're gonna be in a lot more pain because you have less air available to you. Your legs are gonna hurt. Everything else is gonna hurt more, and then it's gonna be very discouraging because everybody else is like just keep doing the same thing that they have been doing, and the kids are thinking, oh my, I'm getting slower and it's so harder just because I'm doing the underwaters. And then for them, it's really easy to say, well, F the underwaters. Let me just go back to what I have been doing. They get the air back and they start swimming at the pace that they're used to. Okay, so this is where it's sucky. And that's what we call the pain zone. So in the moment, when we decide to make those underwaters our secret weapon, what's gonna happen? More likely than not, it's actually gonna get harder and the performance, we have less air available to us. And our times in training it's not guaranteed, but it's a high chance that they're actually gonna get slower. So we're dropping down to here, right? And now what's happening is that, you see, we know that eventually we're gonna be here. But this here, where if I was doing the normal stuff that I'm used to, it would be faster and easier in training than committing to the fly kicks. And so this is what we call the pain zone. Because you commit to this thing that you know in the long run is going to make you better, but in the short term, it's going to suck. And that is where it's very easy to just give up and go back to the old ways, because if you went back to the old ways, you immediately increase your performance in training and the times are better. Right? But if you stick to it, if you stick to the commitment, that's why I was saying you have to agree and believe, really believe, that if you follow through and you get out on the other side of the tunnel, you will eventually be faster, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And so if you do that and you commit to it and you stick, it's going to suck less and less and less. And then there is going to be this point here when you come out on the other side of the tunnel where now every time there's a turn or like there's an underwater or a start or whatever, you're actually faster than what you would be without it. And now, like I promise you, Noe Ponti, in training, he's got a lot of other good dudes around him. But what do you think he's thinking? Is he thinking in training when they're racing or like when they're doing aerobic sets, is he thinking, oh my God, there's a turn coming, I'm gonna like lose on everybody? No, he's like, next turn is coming. Great, right? Because now they're gonna be here in the, what we call the fun zone. Make sense? From here on now, it's going to be fun for themselves and mostly for themselves, right? But it's going that's the best way to describe it. It's just going to be freaking awesome because now you've gotten to a point, you went through the tunnel, okay? And you come to a point where you're actually a lot better, and that will continue to go up and up and up, while this one is just kind of like this linear progression, right? But you're now in a very good spot. But the challenge is to get through that pain zone part. That is the challenge. And that is a mental only challenge. It's to make the commitment to be okay with initially being slower and having less performance, so to say, in terms of times. I mean, the training times are going to get slower. You're actually going to work your body harder, right? And then being okay to stick with it and then you just stick from here. It's easy to stick to, right? Because here, they're going to be hugely motivated. It's just this part, the pain zone, that sucks. And now you can see why it's mental. And again, what it goes back to is, you see, with motivation, we speak about that in depth in our in our school group and stuff, and with our premium members. But what we're doing, if you want to be a successful swimmer, what you're doing is like most swimmers will choose easy and fun now, and they'll have it hard and complicated, and they won't be successful later. But what we do is we switch that around, and we give up that instant gratification and we trade it to make it hard and challenging right now. We lean into that so that we have it fun, maybe not easy, but fun, and we can be very successful later. That is a trade-off. And most people are like monkeys and they just want the instant gratification. Okay. And so they trade their future to have it easy now. And then the future sucks. And sucks. It's just not what they want. Right? And we flip that around and we say, okay, if we're going to make it hard, we're going to make it painful now. And we lean into that and we learn to love that, because that is what builds their character so that we can be very successful and have a lot of fun later. Okay. That's exactly this is exactly it. It doesn't just apply to on the waters. I just think it's a very, very good example. And I was reminded of it again and again and again when I watch these clips on how they do world record, and you just see the underwaters are so important and is a purely mental challenge, then we can help with that. Okay, so that was it. You gotta hop on a call. If you want more and stuff, I recommend you check out our school group. I would say it's pretty freaking epic. Really cool stuff. We had world record holder Milorad Čavić, who's one of our assistant coaches there, motivating our swimmers, giving away some secret tips and stuff. So go check that out. And